Okay, I've spent a long time in sales, and I think that it's been one of the most critical skill sets for me as an entrepreneur. And the reason for that is I think it drives significant success. And when I say sales as a skill set for every entrepreneur, I'm not necessarily talking about a car salesman or someone sitting inside a call center and trying to give you phone calls, because I think that's the mental image that probably comes to mind. I'm referring more to your ability to sell vision, purpose, and product. Vision, purpose, product. First to yourself, then to your team, then to your investors, and ultimately your customer. And I think that this framework I want to talk about is the reason I believe sales ability is an absolute superpower. Okay, so let's sort of kick off with selling to yourself. And the first person you have to sell the vision, the purpose, and the product to is yourself. And if you don't buy into that, no one else does, right? So, and the way this is done is you spend a lot of time in what's typically known as the idea maze. The idea maze is where you carefully think about your concept, your business, and you extract everything that's in your mind. There's definitely techniques to do that. You can, take notes, you write, you spend time writing it down and turning it into a pitch. But the longer you spend in the idea maze, the bigger the maze becomes, but also the clearer your vision becomes, right? So once your vision becomes clear, you can now define the purpose. Once you can define the purpose, you can then define the product. The second thing is to sort of validate your business ideas through research. Market product fit or product market fit is a very critical thing. You want to do research on your competitors, and you want to understand who your who your potential users are. And I think that's an important aspect of the idea maze. The third is to develop this into a strategy and a plan. And that's when you turn it into real actionable steps. So you turn it into a pitch deck, you turn it into a sponsorship deck, you turn it into a website, and you start sort of testing this thing yourself. The other part that the idea maze unlocks for you is that you have to solidify in your own mind why your business must exist. Often because you are solving a pressing pain, or you are generally solving a problem that you need yourself. The ultimate thing to arrive at and to achieve is to convince yourself. You must genuinely believe in your product, its potential, and its impact. Again, if you're not sold on it, no one else will be. The other way to test this idea is that once you feel like you've got a great understanding of the idea maze, you want to test your idea in a non-scalable way. That's a topic for another discussion. The second piece why I believe sales is a superpower is selling to your team. Unless you're sitting on a pile of money, most entrepreneurs are trying to hire the most talented person they can afford. In order to accomplish this, you have to have already spent enough time in your idea maze so that you can translate, again, your vision, your purpose, and your product to talented people whom you want to join the team. So hiring the right people is the most important piece. It's also crucial to have spent time clarifying your vision, your purpose, and your product so that you can confidentially pitch it to these individuals you're trying to hire. You have to craft a very clear narrative about what your strategy and your plan is, and then you have to show them the roadmap. You then have to link each role to an overarching vision, and you have to let your team see how they personally benefit as the business grows. The next thing in sort of selling to your team is to offer transparency and ownership. You provide insights into the back end. I believe that being super transparent with people around your financials, your milestones, your product roadmap, where you are from an investment standpoint, gives them enough confidence to sort of come on board with you. And then you want to involve them for early input so that they feel genuine ownership and they stay motivated for that piece. The next people you want to sell to is your investors. Again, You're selling your vision, your purpose, and your product to these stakeholders who are absolutely pivotal to making your business successful. One thing I've learned on my journey in sort of raising funds is that investors invest in the jockey, not necessarily the horse. The business might be the gateway through which you meet a lot of your investors, but most times people buy into you. They buy into your long-term potential. They buy into the things you can't see into yourself. And when you find great investors, you go on a really long journey with them. Again, when you get to investors, there are very practical things you have to do. You have to now showcase the vision, the purpose, and the product. This is done through a concise pitch deck. You highlight the market opportunities, the problems you're solving, and then the growth potential for them, because their return on investment is absolutely critical. Present the traction and the strategy. This is stuff that you share, your well thought out plans, your credible market research, and then your early validation, whether this was done through getting users, revenue, or just growing a great product organically. The third thing is to grow credibility. You have to emphasize your own expertise, your team's strength, and any proof of market acceptance that you have on the product is a great way for you to raise investment. And then finally, be very transparent about the numbers and the timelines. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, you want to fluff these things in order for you to position your business in a particular way. You actually get a lot more help where you're very clear about what you understand about your business, as well as what you don't understand or the things you don't know about your business. And finally, it's about selling to your customers. This is where you prove the value. You have spent so much time across the various stakeholders that you can now sit in front of a customer and demonstrate to them what the value is. So you can clearly explain your product or your service very easily because you've done it for such a long time in that idea maze. You can demonstrate the benefits and then what we call real world uses or testimonials. Another critical thing is to establish trust. So you can provide social proof, case studies, endorsements, and then user success stories. When you sell to your customer, ultimately, it's important to cultivate long-term relationships. Don't treat sales as a once-off sort of transactional thing that you do as an entrepreneur. Treat every customer as someone who's going to give you feedback and recognize the role they play in growing the business. So listen actively to feedback and adapt your offering over time, particularly when you have loyal customers. And then treat sales as an ongoing conversation. Again, there's what I mentioned earlier about, the car salesman or someone sitting in a call center. That's someone sitting with a sheet and with a target, not necessarily trying to grow long-term, what we call lifetime customer value from your customer. And the key takeouts from this episode is that sales is about persuasion. It starts with yourself. If you don't believe in the product, no one else does. Team building is absolutely critical. I think that a clear and inspiring pitch will attract and retain really talented people that you can afford. I think also critical to think about how you package their offering in the beginning, some equity, some salaries, etc., etc. And then it's about pitching investors. Give them a compelling vision for what they want to back and demonstrate a solid plan. Be customer focused. You have to demonstrate and show how your product addresses the real needs and delivers tangible benefits. And then ultimately, great entrepreneurs are continually, selling to themselves. You're selling to your team, you're selling to your investors, and ultimately you're selling to your customers in order to keep the venture growing and thriving. I hope this has brought you some value. Thank you for watching this Winners Win episode.